Hello guys, and welcome to the latest hangout with the International Forced Rape Timeline. Yet another pre-recorded episode hangout, but I will at some point hopefully do another live hangout or two. I may even do a hangout with some people. I've hung out with people on on their own accounts with other subjects, aggregation, for example, and also a guy called I didn't hang out with police abusing powers. I just spoke to the comment section, but it's getting a regular thing now. Lots of ordinary people all over the world have hangouts. We should be grateful to big tech for that, if for nothing else. This episode, this hangout, is about cases that have been dropped, not necessarily at the very beginning. Rape cases are dropped for all manner of reasons, not necessarily because the complainant hasn't been raped. I'll be going over some cases here. Firstly, a couple of cases in the news. On July 26th, the actor Kevin Spacey was cleared of all charges in a trial at Southwark Crown Court. Spacey's a homosexual, and these were homosexual allegations, nothing amounting to rape or buggery as it used to be called. None of the allegations were dropped there, but previously he'd had a civil trial in the United States and a criminal trial followed by a civil trial, again not of just of groping. The one of the civil trials, the associated criminal trials, they never got as far as a jury. The civil case that went with the criminal case was clearly contrived by a manipulative woman who claimed Spacey had groped her son. What happened clearly was that he approached Spacey in a bar and started coming on to him, but being very friendly, put it that way. All very sordid, of course. I mean, if you don't know my views on homosexuality, check out my main website. I'll put a link to the article I wrote about the case, about the Spacey case, below. Another big case ended recently was Benjamin Mendy, a soccer player. Again, that went to trial. One of his accusers, that charge was dropped. She told the trial it was irrelevant. She'd gone back to Mr. Mendy's house the day after the alleged rape. She said she tried to black out what had happened. Yeah, sure. She denied a suggestion from Mendy's barrister she had copied an allegation made by woman 7, whose case was dropped by the prosecution mid-trial. Yeah, maybe she did copy it, maybe she didn't, but she died. She drank too much and that night and had simply regretted what happened. Well, they do this. It goes here, woman 7. Woman 7, at the time, aged 19, alleged she also awoke to find Mendy raping her. The trial judge ordered the jury to find Mendy not guilty of raping her after a video emerged of her having enthusiastic sex with Mendy's manager. Yeah, these women are whores. I'm sorry, but they're whores. Most of them are white, if not all of them, so they're white whores as well. Before this case came to trial, Paul Todd sent me a short video clip of Mendy having sex with one of these whores in the shower, and she didn't look like she was being raped to me. So it's really is all very sordid. And incredibly, there's an article by some female barrister, KC, here about this. It's young players need to be taught what consent actually means. Eleanor Laws, KC. It's a good name for barristers. Eleanor Laws. Mr. Justice Laws as well. Eleanor Laws reflects on her latest case as a KC who specialises in sexual offences
not for the first time, she's actually for a professional footballer. So she's defending. Law's representing Mendy. He's gone back to France now, good riddance to him. And she says here, some of her clients are as young as 14 and the concerns that arise are toxic masculinity. I'm sorry, but as soon as you use that phrase, you've lost me. She points to the proliferation of pornography on the internet and how that can have an impact on the perception young men have of girls and women. Yeah, so we need censorship, do we? As if 14-year-olds don't know rape is wrong. No. I won't be adding Mendy to the timeline because he brought this on himself. A lot of these soccer players do. Some are victims of quite blatantly malicious false allegations. You'll find them on the timeline. And one, I can't remember if I put I think it's on the timeline, but he sued a newspaper for damages and he got a payout and he gave it to charity, which I thought was very big. So not all footballers are assholes, but they're overpaid, oversexed, and do things which us plebs don't do. We don't get a chance to do, or wouldn't do if we had. There was a woman who published an article about this case in. I won't give her details, but she wrote about the case, and she claimed that she was raped when she was, I suppose, a few years ago. She isn't that old. And I emailed her, but I had no response. Reading an article about Benjamin Mendy, at least one of his so-called victims was caught out lying. Shortly after this case broke, a football fan sent me a short video of Mendy having sex with a white woman in the shower. Yeah, that was Paul Todd. I'll put a link to Paul Todd below. It didn't look like rape to me. I suspect most, if not all, these women were whores, if not actual prostitutes. Having said that, Mr. Mendy clearly brought this on himself, and for that reason I will not be adding his name to the full threat timeline. I will be discussing this case in my next hangout. Promise kept. Read your claim. If you really were raped, rather than regret it after, you should have reported it. To avoid that sort of thing happening again, don't go to a hotel room with a man you don't know, but if you're still attacked, punch, scratch, bite, kick and scream. This is very effective. Even quite young girls have been able to hold off their attackers until the cavalry arrives or until they panic and flee. I'll put some links below. On July 27th, Lady Colin Campbell uploaded a video to YouTube. She's talking about all sorts of things. But one thing she mentioned was, she covered the Spacey trial, and she mentioned regret sex. And she said that there was a case a few years ago in which a young woman cried rape at Goring Castle. She's the lady of the castle, so to speak. And I haven't uploaded her clip. It's a 4-minute plus clip out of her hour or so hangout. I will upload it to the full threat timeline fairly soon. But it made the press, the local press and national press, the Daily Mail, Mail Online, which I suppose is the international press. Police hunt rapists who attacked a woman during a party at the home of ex-Armed Celebrity star Lady Colin Campbell. Sussex police are looking for a man after an attack at a private party near Worthing. The alleged rape took place at Castle Goring, where Lady Colin Campbell lives. Cops appeal for information on 6-foot male who is white and skinny built. Well, bad phrasing there. They've got a photograph of the castle, and it's even got a mugshot of the perpetrator. I couldn't find any follow-up at all. I looked quite a lot, but Lady Colin said that the case was dropped. This girl had been quite embarrassing, really. She'd been giving some dude oral sex in the open, and she went home and told her boyfriend, I think it was her boyfriend, that she'd been raped. And so this is something I've noticed quite a lot, that cases reported and there's no follow-up at all. Stranger rape especially is a very serious offence, because guys doing that can be raping other women. But what I've noticed is that there's a lot of reports. There'll be an allegation of rape, and then there'll be nothing. So I really have to wonder how many of these are. You know, a lot of these times, unless enormous, there's been a large wastage of police manpower and man hours and time and resources. Generally speaking, there won't be a prosecution. They might caution the girl, the woman, or issue a fixed penalty notice, but it's only if it's been serious and maybe some poor sap has been arrested. And even then, they won't. A lot of time, they won't. They won't bring charges, and the press doesn't follow up. I've noticed this with lots of things, not just with sexual assaults. In November last year, a car crashed outside my house, literally. And it was, I'll put a link to the article below. I wrote about it. I was in a hangout with Acnation at the time, and I mentioned it. And we were partying to the street where this girl was. The car had turned over and it caught on fire. It was like something out of a Hollywood drama, a Bond film. There was no real coverage in the press. So I mean, and with these cases, there's a lot of pressure from the sexual grievance industry that also, this will discourage real survivors from coming forward. And of course, a woman who is a blatant liar, she has mental health issues. We saw that with the very recent case of Carly Russell in the United States. She didn't claim to be raped, but it was really bizarre, absolutely, utterly bizarre case. And it fell to pieces within hours because she was obviously lying. So there are a lot of cases where rape charges are dropped and we don't hear anything more about them. If any of you find any follow-up to cases which are reported in the press, and there's any follow-up which isn't on the timeline, please let me know. As you may know, the timeline is overwhelmingly UK, United States, a bit of Canada, Australia, New Zealand and India. I'm trying to cut down the Indian cases because, as I've said before, the rape in India can often mean something different from rape here. It's seduction. Right, I'm going to go through a number of articles in no particular order. These are cases which may or may not be on the timeline. The first one is from 1995. This is the United States. Rape case dropped from the Lexington Herald Leader of Kentucky, August 3rd, 1996, page C1. The rape case against the former Moorhead police chief was dismissed yesterday after the prosecutor said he learned of new information that would make a conviction unlikely. Prosecutor Gary Adkins asked that the first degree rape charge against John David Brown be dropped because of new evidence regarding Common's actions of the victim. She's still the victim. At least 3 weeks before, during and soon after the alleged rape. He said the comments had been about a relationship with Brown, but he would not elaborate. Brown had been accused of raping a Moorhead woman on the night of December 20th, 1995 at an apartment complex where he worked as a groundskeeper. So he was a former police chief. Brown said earlier the woman lived in the complex and knew Brown. His trial date had been set for November 6th. I'm disappointed that justice has not been served, the woman said after the hearing, and that the court system does not work as it should. And of course she remains anonymous. So I may have that one, I'm not sure. Before going further, one other thing I should mention. Rolf Harris died recently, May 10th. And two of his faux victims, Wendy Wild, who predeceased him, the Daily Mirror republished or updated her story the day following. Rolf was died on May the 10th. It was his death was made public on the 23rd. But I have a feeling it may have been, like, some of the authorities, some of the press may have known before then, or had hints of it. On May 24th, the Mirror updated the story about his false accuser, Wendy Wild. That was totally refuted, complete rubbish. And I think it was September. I think it was May 17th. After his first conviction, they tried to keep him in prison for the rest of his life. One of the allegations they made against him was that a blind woman, he was supposed to have groped a blind woman. They're sick, these people. And William Merritt, who was on the case, I'll put a link again to also to the Rolf Harris tribute site. The Rolf Harris tribute site, which I set up recently. William Merritt was able to prove conclusively that this didn't happen and couldn't have happened. And this cunt, this blind cunt, she was, as the Guardian reprinted the story. Well, she waived her anonymity and published the story. I still think he was guilty, even though he was acquitted. They're totally, these women are sick, and the people who pander to them are even sicker. That includes most of the media. That's Rolf Harris, RIP. Here is something else I forgot about. This is from College Fix. Acquitted Yale student can sue rape accuser for defamation. Court. And this is about Saif Khan, who's a little shit. He was accused of rape. He wasn't convicted. I can't remember if it was dropped, but it was a student case, and he appeared on Louis Theroux, and he's a bloke who knew a fellow student or fellow ex-student who knew him said something very different about Khan. And this guy, well, he's a little shit. I can't remember if I put him on the timeline, but he certainly isn't on it now. I think I did actually and took it off. Total little shit. Saif Khan. He was an Afghan refugee, or son of an Afghan refugee or something, but certainly got a very bad attitude towards women. Even some of the stupid women who brainwashed women who go to university, American universities. There's another report that this is from the Argus about the Castle Goring incident. I don't need that. I'll just put a clip on there. One add it to the timeline. This is not for the timeline. A woman has, this is one reported rape to police. I reported rape to police, but they said I couldn't. South Wales Echo. A woman has criticised police, claiming she was told you were not raped and you can't be pressured into sex after she reported an alleged attack. Well, I suppose if you don't define a knife at the throat as being pressured into sex, so you could say it's true. In December 2020, Kelly Jones, apparently her real name, reported to be raped by somebody she thought of as a friend at his home. After the alleged assault, the 24-year-old says she immediately attended a sexual assault referral centre to obtain DNA samples, and some days later the incident was reported to Gwent police. Should have gone to the police as well, And you need medical treatment if you are raped, whatever the circumstances. She thought she was doing everything right. However, Kelly, who has waived her legal right to anonymity, has criticised the Force for the way they handled the case, believing they failed to take her seriously. Kelly said that just the day after police received a report of the alleged crime, she received a phone call from an officer handing her case, informing her, "You were not raped and you can't be pressured into sex." Kelly also claims the officer handling the case asked her to consider the future of the person whom she had accused. It can be confusing. She could be telling a tissue of lies. You don't know the circumstances. Were there other people present? Is she like a 14-stone weightlifter and she's accused of cystic fibrosis sufferer of rape? I mean, you don't know. After the initial phone call with the female officer in question, Kelly called 101. I really don't know. And of course, the British police they're so arrogant that they they refuse to comment most of the time. And there's a comment here. Due to insufficient evidence, the case was not progressed by police nor passed to the Crown Prosecution Service. Kelly says she actually agrees with the decision not to take the case to court. He's satisfied that the individual requested was spoken to by police. Make of that what you will. I think she probably had drunken sex with a guy and there were other people present. But you never really know. Here's another one that won't be going on the timeline. Decision not to prosecute 50-year-old for alleged. It's right now. This is. I'm reading from Newsbank. The title ends there. A student reported she had been raped was told the alleged attacker would not face court action due to police decision. It's been revealed. Yeah. Josie Jolley, an extremely bright PhD student at the University of Sussex, took her own life in September last year, 9 months after. I remember this. I'm not sure I've covered it before. An inquest into 25-year-old death at Brighton Coroner's Court. Her Josie had contacted police in Sussex and had been interviewed by officers at the Metropolitan Police who had passed the case to the Crown Prosecution Service. And afterwards they put CPS, as if, I hate that when they have a name of an organisation, they put the initials after it. It just really does get me. It was heard the inquest on Wednesday that the CPS decided not to take the case to court. A spokesman for the Met confirmed no report of the case was passed to CPS. On December 1st, 2019, the Met received a referral from Sussex Police for an allegation. Referred to an incident in Victoria, SW1, in the early hours of December 1st. So it's the same day then. Specially trained officers spoke with the woman and supported her throughout the investigation. The 50-year-old man was identified and arrested on suspicion of rape. However, following a thorough investigation, all the evidence available to police, a decision was taken that there would be no further action. The outcome of the decision was explained to the woman who made it. I don't know. I'll chase up see if there's anything in the inquest. The CCTV footage of them holding hands, which would be undermined for prosecutions to take place. Yeah, why is a 19-year-old holding hands with a 50-year-old? Why should come from Brighton and hold hands with a 50-year-old? I'll put that sort of pending, holding. It may be a year or two before I had, if I'm still alive in a year or two, which is by no means guaranteed. So I'll add that to my holding file, holding directory. This one is not for a timeline. Pedo ring suspect Gran is found dead. The Gran charged with being part of an alleged pedo ring has become the second suspect who died since arrests were made. That's May 22nd, 2021. The body of Maureen McClellan was discovered 6 months after a wheelchair-bound co-accused Robert Brown passed away. Both were barred in October by Glasgow Sheriff Court where they faced child sex offence raps. 12 others aged 35 to 54 also charged. The source said mother to Maureen, who also used the surname Gowdy, Isabel Gowdy, who was hanged as a witch. Gowdy shared a long-standing problem with drinking drugs. Both charged with 5 sex offences, including child rape. I mean, protesters hounded Brown from his home last November. He was later found dead in Drum Chapel, so cops confirmed non-suspicious death of a woman 50. Crown took no further action. Yeah, I'll dig out further on that. If it's I'm not sure what's. Some of these cases are really weird. No means no. What's this? This is. Oh yeah. It might take a little while to load this. Christian Science Monitor. Here we are. No means no. Christian Science Monitor. November 12th, 2015. Mandating that colleges report sexual assaults to police before they conduct their own investigations, as the Safe Campus Act would do, seems like common sense. But women's advocating university say ignores unique factors that make campus rapes extremely difficult to prosecute and to heal. No, I'm sorry, but 65% of rapes and sexual assaults were unreported between 2006 and 2010. according to the Bureau of Justice Statistics. Well, how does the Bureau just... How does it know if they're not reported? No, this is... the police need... We believe our systems of survivors should have choices in how, when and to whom they go for support, or to report the crime. No. Rape should be reported. Period. If it's real rape. I've just been reading a book actually by a serial rapist who continues to protest the innocence. A former student. So no, I mean that's complete BS. If it's rape, it should be reported. If it's regret sex, well, just no. And this one is from the Long Beach Press Telegram, November 18, 1990. I said it in no particular order. Rape charges dismissed when alleged victim presumably fails to turn up. Again, it's from Newsbank and not a full title isn't there. Attorney for a Long Beach school security guard who was accused of abducting a woman as she walked to a store to buy a baby formula and then raping her, said the alleged victim may have failed to appear in court because of her history as a prostitute. She's got a baby and she's... Yeah, well, the woman's failure to appear in court last week resulted in charges being dismissed against the 4 men accused in the gang rape. Oh, God. We names them. The truth of the matter is we have witnesses who testified that she was a prostitute and was out walking that night when the incident occurred. Yanis said. Yanis is the attorney for one of them. Yanis reiterated his client is innocent, adding that the issue of consent would have formed part of the defence. All 4 men, I mean 4 men, it's I can understand one sad young man having sex with a prostitute, a sad older man, which I am not. Donahue says prostitutes can be rapist targets, yeah, and serial killers, as we just found out for that arrest in Long Island. Well, it's not just, but that's the guy arrested on suspicion of the Gilgo Beach murders for if you're watching it a year or 2 down the line. Prosecutors declined to comment on the woman's background, but speculated that she had a history of prostitution convictions. She might have failed to appear in court. No, I won't include that one. It's just too sordid. This is from the UK. This is Hertfordshire Mercury, the county's top-selling weekly newspaper, probably the only one as well. July 12, 1996, front page. Rape charge dropped. The charge against a 71-year-old... Oh yeah, I remember this. This is I'm definitely not including this one. A charge against a 71-year-old Ukrainian-born pensioner of raping a 10-year-old girl was dropped when he appeared before Hertford magistrates. The court was told that Michael Kowal, I should imagine he's dead by now. He's 71. He could still be alive. Michael Kowal of Riverside Cottage in Stansted Abbots now faced 2 special charges of ridiculously assaulting a girl in an allotment. Yeah, I mean, there's... well, if she's only 10 years old, she might not understand what rape means. Better to have a charge and then to reduce it than sick fuck. Charges against ex-chief. Is there another police chief? No, he's a... Oh, yes. Charges against ex-chief of ferries. King County prosecutors dismissed rape and unlawful imprisonment charges against the former head of the state ferry system. Deputy Prosecutor Monica Benton says she dropped 2 felony counts against former ferry system general manager Nicholas Tracy after a ferry service employee came forward with information that put into question the credibility of the woman who accused Tracy of raping her in 1983. This is from a report dated 1992. Prosecutors this week also obtained new documents from the Department of Transportation that raised questions about the case, Benton said. Enough to impeach her. New evidence was received in the 11th hour late last week, made it difficult to proceed with the case. No Batson violation here. I think it's Batson, isn't it? Failure to disclose. Was it Batson, is it? Was it something else? Let's have a look. No, it isn't Batson, it's Brady. Brady violation, yeah, called Brady. And there's also a Giglio. I know more about American law than I do about British law, English law, shall I say. Scotland has a different legal system. So I may, I'm not sure, I might have added that one actually. But that may be added at some point, but the case was dropped. Mistaken identity, yeah, well, that's a good reason for dropping the case. Rape and burglary charges were dropped against a Syracuse man today. This was May 22nd, 1989, because a DNA test showed he did not assault the victim at Lemoyne College, a Lemoyne College student. So 1989, DNA hadn't been around long there, but so it must have been. It could have been convicted based on other evidence. Yeah, DNA does have its uses, yeah. And another mistaken identity here. This is, yeah, I won't be adding this to the timeline because this is a bloke. This is 1987 from the Birmingham Post. A bloke named Bayliss, a Midland school inspector who's told how his life was ruined after he was falsely accused of raping a 14-year-old girl. Despite being this, Mr. Bayliss had to endure 11 months of hell, in which his 10-year marriage finished. His friends deserted him and he was forced to retire. Well, if those are your friends, pal, you're better off without them. Now it's calling for law to be changed that defendants in rape trials have the same rights of anonymity as the alleged victims. Good luck with that. It doesn't actually, there wasn't actually, I think back in 1976 when all this anonymity business started, briefly, rape accused they were anonymous, anonymity before trial, and more recently Cliff Richard, Paul Gambaccini and Nigel Evans, the MP, that they called for anonymity before charge. It's to stop police shawning for victims and the media. I'll put a link to my latest full track trial and video below. I will add that to into the archive at some point, but at the moment it's on YouTube. I'll put a link below. The nightmare for Mr. Bayliss began in January 1995 when a 14-year-old prostitute walked to the police station and claimed an older man had attempted to rape her at knife point. 9 months later, she thought she saw the same man in Wolverhampton Town Centre. She took his car registration number. 3 months later, gave it to the police. But the person she picked up was Mr. Bayliss. The girl said her attacker had a maroon Ford Sierra and Mr. Bayliss drives a red Mazda. It's other reasons. It's just, no, I won't be adding that. It's just, why is a 14-year-old, she should be in care if she's doing things like that. It probably wasn't care. So that's the care system for you. This is a bloke called Shelley. I have 2 articles here, published the same day from different newspapers. Again, Newsbank. This is Tulsa World, and the other is Times Record of Fort Smith, Arizona, is it Arizona? Arizona. And the other one is Tulsa is Oklahoma, of course. 24 hours from Tulsa. Charges dropped against ex-Pensacola school boss. Felony charge against the former Pensacola superintendent accused of raping a 5-year-old girl. Oh my God. Shelley doesn't have a published telephone number. His attorney, Kenneth Butler, did not return telephone calls. I don't believe there was sufficient evidence to go forward. Shelley had been on the Pensacola job only a week when the district attorney's office filed charges on July 7th, 2009, which is from 2010, accusing him of sexual contact with a female child relative. The charge was amended later to 2 counts of lewd molestation, and in October 2009, Shelley submitted a conditional letter of resignation. I'm not sure about this. I thought he pleaded guilty to a lesser offence. What the American district attorneys, what they often do, is they'll threaten somebody with a horrendously heavy sentence, and say Brian Banks is a classic case, sad but a happy ending of sorts. They threaten him with a horrible sentence, which even if he'd been convicted in England, he wouldn't have got anything like that. Something like a 30-year sentence. And it said, unless you plead guilty, if you go to trial, you'll get, this is what you'll get. I'll put a link to Brian Banks' case on the timeline and try not to laugh at what happened. I would say it's tragic, but this is woman who recanted. A woman who said she was raped by a Mercy Hospital psychiatric ward patient while she was undergoing treatment there in 1985. Then said she made the whole thing up. Was awarded $35,000 Tuesday by a Dade Circuit County jury. Dade Circuit Court jury. This is Miami Herald from March 8, 1989. Mercy's attorneys contended she consented to sex with Manuel Guerra, a paranoid schizophrenic with religious delusions. Guerra later pleaded no contest to sexual battery. I mean, just no, I'm not including this one. Kozak has suffered psychological problems since her mother was accused of paying someone to murder her father in 1984. Her mother, school teacher Ruth Johnson, was acquitted. So she paid someone to. Oh dear. She paid someone, but she was acquitted, but she's still guilty. I see. I'm definitely not including that one. Not proven. That's got to be Scotland. Yes. For those of you not know, Scotland has a unique legal system. 15-person juries, so no hung juries. 3 verdicts: guilty, not guilty, and not proven. A woman who's raped in Aberdeen Park has back plans to shake up Scotland. Oh, here we go. Yeah. Oh, April this year, shake up Scotland's criminal justice system, including getting rid of the not proven verdict. Yeah. Katie Johnston, now 28, was sexually assaulted in January 9, 2016. Student nurse was sitting on a bench texting a friend when she was dragged in the bushes and attacked. Alice McDonald was found guilty of the horror incident and jail for 10 years. So what's she complaining about? No, this is... Yeah, the rape crisis Scotland are utterly odious. I made a video about their again, I'll put a link to it. It's these bitches are playing you. It's about their sinister campaign to brainwash people into believing women. I just froze. I thought I'd fight back, but I just froze. This is a Miami Herald again. This is 1985. Monday, William Anderson was to stand trial in the rape of the wife of his high school friend. Tuesday afternoon, the state's attorney dropped its charges and Anderson was released after spending 5.5 months in jail awaiting trial. It's one of those cases we can't prove, said the assistant DA. This is a case that should never been filed on, said Anderson's public defender, Jay Kirshner. I'm going to try to find out what it's all been about, said Anderson, who maintained his innocence throughout the proceedings. Both Anderson and the woman he's accused of raping failed lie detector tests. Dear, oh dear. The police officer who conducted the interview is no longer with Port St Lucie Police Department. It's not one of the cases I like to talk about, said Park. Who's Park? I think is he the prosecutor? Yeah, no, state attorney. They don't have district attorneys in Florida, they have state attorneys. State attorneys. The rape was reported 4 years ago on June 5th, 1981. The woman told the police a man entered a Port St Lucie house, held her by the throat and raped her. The man had a shirt tied over his head. Later, under hypnosis, the woman said the man had a scar on his chest. Oh dear, oh dear. Anderson has no such scar. So she may have actually been raped. It was not until 2.5 years after the rape, after several other men had been questioned by police, she told officers she thought the rape was not Anderson, her husband's friend. Oh, this is silly. No, well, it appears she was raped. So, I mean, might submit that to a comedy website, but not to the false rape timeline. This is from Scottish newspaper, the Press and Journal, January 14th, 1982. MP protests as rape charge dropped. 3 teenagers allegedly involved in a rape which ended with the victim being slashed with a razor are not to face trial. Charges of rape and attempted murder have been dropped following a decision that the woman needed 168 stitches and later tried to commit suicide. Should not give evidence because of her mental state. That's horrible. The victim was 29, was dragged from a Glasgow street, raped in a derelict hut and then slashed with a razor. Oh, it's just horrible. don't remember this one. I looked at I looked at it briefly, but yeah, I just horrible. Of course that. I don't know, just sick. Who do something like that? A group of them, you know. I mean, you can either say it was one psycho, because there's psychos everywhere. But, what's this one? This is Staffordshire Newsletter, September 15th, 1989. It's not an old one, isn't it? Rape charge dropped. A charge of attempted rape against 40-year-old businessman was withdrawn by magistrates last Thursday, and substituted with an allegation of indecent assault. Terence Hammersley, formerly of Paget Rise, Abbots Bromley, now living at Hamley Heath Farm, is alleged to have committed the offence. It was bailed. Yeah, I'm not bothered with that. It's just so yeah. Look, sometimes charges are beefed up, other times they're reduced. This is from Manchester Evening News. I can't remember the date on it. Page 36. I've had the date. It's quite an old one. A charge of rape against Bury man Jason Poole has been dropped. Crown Prosecution Service formally asked the matter against the 25-year-old. The Crane Street Bury to be withdrawn by the town's magistrate. Poole faces a fresh charge of unlawful sexual intercourse with others. Yeah, I mean, no. I mean, that's no, I won't entertain that. Nightmare lives on for accuser of rape. This is Storfville Sun Tribune, February 19th, 2004. That's somewhere in the United States, I presume. I think I found it in a US database. If you're facing a serious charge, would you want your fate to rest in the hands of a 12-member jury comprising amateurs of no legal training and no previous experience? I wouldn't. And this is it's the daunting task placed before 6 men and 6 women when a rape accused and a Stouffville rape accuser met face to face in a Newmarket courtroom recently. The result, the accused of a free man likely going about his daily routine like nothing ever happened. The accused is devastated. It was 2:30 on a cold January morning. The complainant was aroused from a deep sleep by a knock at the door. She responded after recognising the caller as acquaintance let him in. For a time they talked. 2:30 in the morning. The woman relating details of her marriage break up and the man listening intently trying his best to ease her anguish. Then, according to the accuser, something happened. All of a sudden, suddenly, they always say all of a sudden, don't they? Suddenly his facial features changed, she said. He had the look of an animal. He began ripping her clothes off. When she attempted to reach the phone and dial 911, he put a hold on her so she couldn't break. He told a different story. Did he testify? I don't know. Yeah, let's not go in. Let's not go in the let's not go on the timeline. Woman's rape case dismissed because she sees something. Again, Newsbank, Deseret News, July 26, 1994. A woman says she was raped by a Salvation Army official who is not protected under Pennsylvania law because she didn't fight back, the prosecutor said. District Attorney Charles J. Duke had a judge dismiss the woman's case, citing the state Supreme Court's decision in another case that a woman wasn't raped because she didn't physically resist her attacker. But one time a woman had to resist to the utmost. That was when rape was capital. In both cases, the woman repeatedly said no. In both cases, the women repeatedly said no and claimed they had no choice but to submit. What was it Holly Dunn said? When I say no, I mean maybe, or maybe I mean yes. But Duke said the Pennsylvania Supreme Court has now defined the rape law as requiring victims to resist physical or psychological force unless the law has changed to include sex without consent. He said more rape cases will be dropped. Yeah, this is silly. I mean, saying no. I mean, seriously. Keith Griffin, who's he? A former New Orleans. This is April 15, 2007. A former New Orleans police officer did not kidnap and rape. Oh yeah, this is ludicrous. This. He was found not guilty, but I don't know. It's just a ridiculous case. Absolutely ridiculous. But a nurse examined the woman after the incident found no DNA from Griffin, which the defence said proved no intercourse took place. Yet they found his semen on the side of the squad car and a napkin inside the car. Oh god! The woman skims. How he got away with that, I don't know. That's definitely not going. That's definitely not going into the database. This is a bloke named Boardman from January 20th, 1989. I'm not sure what paper it is. England, anyway. A man is cleared of raping Park. A jury at probably Manchester News. A jury at Manchester Crown Court took less than 10 minutes to clear a man of raping a teenage girl. Mark Boardman, aged 21, of Lacrosse Avenue, Oldham, who has maintained the girl consented to what happened in Park toilets on the. No. Just. I'm sorry, there's something about sex in toilets. Consensual sex in toilets, even just yuck, it did. The girl was 19 at the time, admitted giving Mr. Bourne a birthday kiss after being offended to talk to her and another girl at the pub. Before went to the park because her friends wanted to use the toilets where the girl alleged that Mr. Bourne raped her. But I'm not arguing with the verdict, but it's just sick, isn't it? And there's somebody here called Gunderson, not Ted Gunderson, nutter. Jury acquits Gunderson on rape charges, convicted on battery and guns. Yeah, I won't be adding this. Former Blue Lake Police Chief David Ray Gunderson. What is that? What is any relation to Ted Gunderson? Probably not. Was acquitted. And this is I haven't got a date on it. Oh, it's 2009, 2508. Yeah, 25th of September 2008. Former Blue Lake Police Chief David Ray Gunderson was acquitted of 24 spousal rape charges. Yeah, just stupid, these things, are they? Right, and just have a few words here about dropped cases generally. There's one from Oxford. Bloke who was cleared of rape. Where is it? I think it was actual rape. Oxford jury clears a man over M40 hotel rape allegation. The man's been cleared of raping a quadriplegic. Yeah. No, I'm sorry. It says she was quadriplegic. I think that may mean paraplegic, but this is rough sex rubbish. No, I mean, just what's he doing with? What? Just no. Case here from the Times of India. No corroboration needed. Survives version credible. Man gets 20-year RI for raping man. I'm sure what RI does that mean? Rigorous imprisonment for raping his niece. Yeah. Well, it depends what you mean by corroboration. I mean, corroboration doesn't necessarily mean two witnesses. It can mean corroboration could be all sorts of things, you know. One here from Liberated Zimbabwe. Come back, Ian Smith. All is forgiven. Oh yeah, this is a really weird case. I'm not in this at the moment. It's a Lobel's Biscuits COO acquitted of rape charges. This is a bloke called Andrew Insa, who's accused of multiple rapes by. I must say, he doesn't look like a rapist to me. He was acquitted by a magistrate. It's scathing rebuke to the accused, revealing that the charges were steeped in malice and born out of a sinister conspiracy to bring down the accused. Yeah, this happens, you know. I mean, it happens. I'm not so sure about this case. I may add it to the timeline, but it's the same old story. There's a comment here. Imagine 10 women accusers and the judge couldn't believe not one of them. This case stinks to high heaven. this case stinks of high corruption. Reading what isn't there. Yeah, as I often say, anytime you hear the expression "no smoke without fire," ask yourself who's creating all this smoke. And it probably wasn't him. It depends. I mean, I might. It doesn't look like a rapist to me. It looks like some sort of manager. And finally, no, that is it. There's only another one we've already done here. To reiterate, cases are dropped for all manner of reasons. Just because a case is dropped, I don't want to sound like a raving feminist, but just because a case is dropped doesn't mean no rape was committed. Maybe less offence was committed. It may be that they think it's complete baloney, regret sex or no sex at all, but you really can't tell. You really need more detail. So again, just because a case has been dropped or just because of a not guilty verdict doesn't mean I will put the case on the timeline. I like to ensure that all the cases I put on the timeline belong on the timeline. I have removed a few here and there, but I certainly won't put on anything I consider the slightest bit dodgy. Right, that is my third hangout for July, and I will see you next month when I will be a year older.